Hello there, welcome to the pod. Coffee, Java, nectar of the gods, I love it. You probably do too, and today we are chatting about bulletproof coffee specifically. What is it? Why do folks drink it? Does it increase or accelerate fat loss? Should you include it in your daily routine? We are going to address it all. First of all, what is it? So Bulletproof is actually a brand created by a dude named Dave Asprey. And he sells all sorts of products and supplements. And I will be perfectly honest, you don't need any of them to lose fat and get healthy. But I get asked about Bulletproof coffee fairly often. And so I figured that I'd dedicate a podcast episode to it so that I can address the topic in more detail. So Bulletproof is a brand, and Bulletproof coffee is a recipe that this Dave guy came up with. And that recipe is 1 cup of brewed coffee, 1/3 of a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of MCT oil, and 1 to 2 teaspoons of butter or ghee. Ghee is clarified butter, so it's basically a dairy-free version. So you're meant to blend this stuff up all together and voila, you have Bulletproof coffee. Oh, and MCT oil is basically just coconut oil because coconut oil is made up of predominantly MCTs, which is an acronym for medium chain triglycerides. And MCTs are just a specific type of fat that tends to be broken down and utilized a little bit quicker in the body than some other fat sources. It is not better than other fat. It is not worse than other fat. It just is. So the idea is that by having MCTs or coconut oil in your coffee, you get a more rapidly digesting form of fat that your body can use for fuel, and the butter or ghee is meant to be a flavor and or texture enhancer. Now, some of the claims are that Bulletproof coffee increases mental alertness, energy levels, and satiety or fullness, which makes sense because coffee contains caffeine, and caffeine is a drug that increases mental alertness, energy levels, and satiety. And so while these claims are technically true, you could just drink a cup of black coffee and get said benefits without the added coconut oil or butter, aka calories. Will you get slightly more satiation if you add the coconut oil and butter to your coffee? Almost certainly, but you're also adding calories, right? And calories increase satiation. And so the claims are somewhat misleading. Does Bulletproof coffee increase or accelerate fat loss? No. But if someone starts incorporating Bulletproof coffee into their morning routine as a breakfast substitute, which some folks do, if the calories in the Bulletproof coffee are lower than the calories in their typical breakfast that they are no longer having, that will result in fat loss, assuming all other things are equal. For example, let's say that you typically have half a cup of oats with 1 cup of berries and 2 tablespoons of nut butter mixed together in some unsweetened almond milk. You're looking at about 450 to 500 calories right there. If you start having Bulletproof coffee instead, which is about 250 calories, you just cut your breakfast calories in half. And as long as you don't make up that 250-ish calories that you cut at breakfast, at some other point in the day, you will lose some fat. However, it is not because adding oil and butter to your coffee has some sort of special fat burning effect on the body. It is just because you are eating fewer calories. anything that results in fewer calories consumed, assuming your movement habits stay the same, will result in fat loss. Also, it's worth mentioning that if you were to skip the oil and butter altogether and just sub in regular black coffee for your breakfast, you would lose even more fat. For example, if you had a black cup of coffee instead of your oats, berries, nut butter, and almond milk, you would lose more fat than if you were to have bulletproof coffee, because you would be reducing your calorie intake not just by 250-ish calories, but by the full 450 to 500-ish calories, because black coffee is essentially calorie-free. There are like 2 calories in it. Now, if you add bulletproof coffee into your routine without changing anything else, you will gain fat because you are adding additional calories. For example, let's say that you drink black coffee like I do right now, and then you start adding oil and butter to it, and it doesn't replace your breakfast or any other calories in your day. That's just an additional 250 calories that you added to your regular intake. And so I wouldn't recommend doing that unless your goal is weight gain. As a general rule, liquid calories are not your friend when your goal is fat loss or even weight maintenance, whether it be coffee, booze, or whatever. And the reason is because liquid calories are far less satiating than calories consumed via whole food. For example, 2 cups or a standard-ish glass of orange juice contains about 220 calories. 3 whole eggs contains about 210 calories, which is going to keep you full for longer. The 3 whole eggs, without a doubt, it is a no contest, meaning the more you can minimize your calorie intake from liquids, the easier it is going to be to both lose fat and maintain said fat loss. Now, maybe you'd still like to give bulletproof coffee a try for one reason or another. There are a few things to keep an eye on. One is digestion. Coffee in general is a fairly common intolerance on its own. However, you're listening to this episode, and so you probably digest it okay, or you like it so much that you're willing to put up with the consequences of the intolerance. Also, a lot of folks don't tolerate butter or dairy all that well, and if that's you, ghee would be the way to go. Another thing to be aware of is that coconut oil is notorious for going right through people and making them run to the bathroom. Liquid and rendered fat lead to loose stools for a lot of folks when they are consumed in too large of quantities. And rendered fat is just liquefied fat. For example, when you cook something like ground beef, there is a bunch of liquefied fat left in the pan because it's essentially being cooked out of the meat. That stuff is called rendered fat. And so as a side note, some folks think that they don't digest ground beef or red meat very well, but it's actually just that they ate too much of that rendered down fat and it upset their stomach. And so if you've experienced that, simply ditch most of that liquid fat and you should tolerate ground beef just fine. Because, fun fact, red meat is one of the best tolerated foods on the planet digestion-wise. And if you want to test this for yourself, just have some ground beef or a steak with some salt on it and nothing else, no garlic or onion or funky sauces, and just notice how great you feel in terms of your digestion. Don't just take my word for it, test this yourself. One more thing to keep in mind is that if you start looking into bulletproof coffee and you come across the information put out by the Bulletproof brand itself, they will likely mention that their products yield specific benefits or that they are better than other options. So for example, they sell coffee they sell MCT oil, and they also sell ghee. And I will say that they have a very good marketing team, but you don't need to use their products specifically. You can absolutely get regular coffee, coconut oil, and butter or ghee from your local grocery store. So, to sum things up, some folks really enjoy the taste of Bulletproof coffee, and others like it as a breakfast substitute. And if that's you, by all means, enjoy it. Just know that there is no inherent fat loss benefit to it. And if you have added it or choose to add it into your daily routine moving forward, and you notice fat loss results, it is because in one way or another, you have reduced your total calorie intake over the course of days and or weeks. And the same goes for regular coffee. Some folks will say that coffee or caffeine helps to burn additional body fat, and if it does, it is to such a small degree that you literally won't even notice it. Meaning, adding black coffee or caffeine or over-the-counter fat burner supplements into your routine is not going to yield you the fat loss results that you are after. However, modifying your nutrition absolutely will. Nutrition is the key for fat loss, hands down, no contest, right tool for the right job. So if you are serious about losing fat, dial in that diet. If you're interested in applying for one-on-one nutritional coaching and or workout design with me, you can click the link in the description below or head on over to n1fitness.com/coaching. On Instagram, I'm at N1Fitness. On TikTok, I'm at the N1Fitness. And on YouTube, I am at Marcus Sadu/N1Fitness. Feel free to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, if you'd like to, of course. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that you found this episode useful, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.